Hey up, and welcome to Corey's Corner. Today I want to talk about the men that society leaves behind, basically, is what I'm going to be talking about. And the men that society just forgets about. Because the thing is, I feel like with me and, I don't know, like a lot of other people probably in my same position, like, I feel like it's not like there was like one big thing that went wrong in my life, it's not like one day it was like it was kind of over before it even began. It's not like my life is like terrible, but every year it just gets worse and worse and worse, and no one cares. No one cares. It's kind of funny actually, because I remember before I moved out, my cousin got me a book, and it's like this self-improvement book. It's not like one I'd heard of before, but it's just like some generic book written by like some doctor or something. And I was flicking through it. The first 5 chapters, like the first chapter is called Assume Personal Responsibility. So before the book even begins, it's basically just victim blaming, and this is something people love to do. They love to shift the blame onto you, right? Like if you're a man and you're in your 20s or 30s, and your life isn't going well, it must be your fault. There's no other possible way that could happen. And successful people tend to look at it and say, well, I could do it, so why can't you? And it's just a failure to understand the lack of fairness in life. Because the thing about life is, you can do every single thing right and still fail, because of factors completely outside of your control. And I was reading the rest of this book, and there were other chapters where it's like, be open-minded to people, this kind of crap. And there was one where it's like how to confront someone if they do something you don't like, and I was reading it and I just found it so funny, because if I tried to do any of this stuff with my family, or like my cousin or my mum, or anyone in my family at all, bear in mind they're the people who gave me this book, if I had tried to actually use that, 'cause it was saying stuff like, get their attention and clearly state what they did that upset you and how it made you feel. And I've done this before with my family, and the thing is, like, it never ends well. Like, the best case scenario is nothing happens, and the worst case scenario is something happens, and it's never in my favor. Like, I just honestly, like, I was just raised to feel like my feelings didn't matter, like what I wanted didn't matter. Like, for example, I was just at the store today, like just buying some food, and I had my headphones on, because I always have my headphones on when I'm in public, because I can't take the sound. It doesn't matter anyway, but I couldn't hear the sound around me, is my point. That's why I brought it up. And then there was this like store employee like walking past me, and there was this woman walking down the aisle. Obviously it's a woman, not looking where she's going, just taking up the whole aisle. There's plenty of room, but she's walking down the middle, so I have to like step like out of her way to walk past. And as I do, this employee, who was obviously trying to walk past me like quickly, like he kind of walked into me because I just sidestepped, and I immediately was like, oh, I'm sorry, because the thing is, like, that's how I was raised, to assume that in any given situation, like, I'm the one in the wrong. And to be honest, like, I don't think that's a bad way to be raised, because it's like, if every single person was raised to think that, the world would be a much better place. Where if people, you know what I mean. But the thing is, like, that's an example of one of those things where it's like it would be, in theory, if everyone was like that, it would be better, but they don't, right? It's like when people believe that their vote matters, like, the less people believe that, the more it's true, right? If there's only one person who thinks their vote matters, then they're right. But if everyone thinks their vote matters, they're wrong. And it's weird that there are certain truth claims that whether or not they're actually true is dependent on how many people believe that or act that way. And I don't really know what point I'm even bringing up saying this, but it's just like, the way I was raised is to be very reserved and submissive and stuff. And I remember, like, one day when I was like a kid, like really young, like elementary school, I got picked up from school by my grandparents, and I don't remember what happened, but I was like a little kid, and I was like crying for some reason. And basically the teachers said to them, like, oh, he's like crying for some reason, and my grandparents were like, they told me to like shut up and stuff, and that's how it was treated. That's how I got treated. And it's like, there's a time and a place for that, don't get me wrong. And a lot of people say like men shouldn't cry, and you see this red pill community, and I'm not like on the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm not saying like I don't think people should be crying, full stop, really, or necessarily. I mean, I don't know, I don't care, right? But it's gotten to a point now where, like, as an adult, like, not that I'm complaining about this necessarily specifically about this point, but it's like I don't cry anymore. I can't cry, like physically, I just can't do it. It's like I'm sad enough, but I just don't do it, you know. And my point isn't specifically about crying, but my point is just suppression of emotions, because this is the thing, is men get taught to suppress their emotions. And you know, the thing about this kind of stuff as well is like, this is what mainstream society says, like, you know, some people would say we live in a more accepting age, you know, and men should express their emotions. But the thing is, like, that's not what people actually want, you know. People don't want men to express their emotions. There's only a few emotions that's socially acceptable for men to express, like sadness. Like, if you're a man and you're sad, you can express that. But if you're angry or you're bitter at the world and at other people, that's not acceptable, you know. No one's gonna have time for that. And who the hell is anyone else to tell you how you should feel? You know, if you're a man and you go through all the shit that society puts you through and you feel bitter about it and angry, who the hell is anyone else to tell you shouldn't feel that way, you know? But that's what they do, that's what they tell you. And then you have the opposite end of the spectrum, where you have the red pill crowd, and they're super into like suppressing their emotions, and like men shouldn't cry. And I get all this crap recommended to me on YouTube sometimes, because obviously everyone thinks like the red pill and the black pill is basically the same thing, and they think like Andrew Tate is an incel and all this stupid crap, which obviously isn't true. And I just get these videos recommended to me of like, you know, like, oh, a man controls his emotions, a man provides, and you get all these red pill people being like, it's your masculine duty. I see this crap all the time. It's your duty to your ancestors, to your family, to God, to provide, and all as a man. And it's like, just like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, do these people enjoy sniffing the farts out of their own arse? Like, really? What is this crap? A duty? I don't have a duty to anyone to provide. Oh, you have a duty to provide for women. And I see like other incels sometimes talk about this, like more like traditionalist kind of LARPers be like, oh, you know, we need to love women, but even if women don't love us back, and even if, you know, women are terrible, we still need to love and provide for them, bro, just because it's our masculine duty. And it's like, that annoys me more than the women, to be honest, because like, I'm at a point now where I don't even care about women, and they don't really annoy me, like their behavior. Like, I stay clear of them. But it's the men who like are happy with the system, you know, and they're like, oh, we'll just keep it how it is, you know, we'll keep being subservient, because why not, right? You know, I was at my grandparents' house the other day, actually, over Christmas. This was just after Christmas, actually, and my granddad, who's like in his 80s, I think, at this point, he got like given some like jumper, like some hoodie, and it was way too big for him. He put it on and it was way too big for him, and he was saying like it was too big. And like everyone in my family, mainly the women, to be honest, were teaming up on this guy and just like complaining about him, and, you know, saying like how like basically like how stupid he is, and how he always complains how he's difficult and crap like that. And the thing is, like, this guy was born on the back of a fire truck during World War II, and then he like got a job when you could, you know, a single income would pay for a family, and he got married when he was like, I don't know, like my age pretty much, which is just brutal. And he had like kids, and he you know, he bought a house on a single income and provided for his family, and he did all the things you're supposed to do according to these red pill people. He did that. And it's like, that's not saying a lot, because back in the day, like that, you know, that traditionalist approach was like the given, and now it's like impossible, basically. But my point is, like, he did all that crap right, and look at him now. He's not happy, you know. And he said to me, when everyone left the room, he said to me, oh, Corey, you know, don't get married, he said to me. And I said to him, don't worry, I won't, you know, because come on, like, even if I wanted to, I couldn't get married. And I guess I want to, but not when, you know, the more I observe women, like, the less I want to spend time around them, to be honest. And it's not even specifically women, really, but I'm just kind of done with everyone, to be honest. I'm done trusting people. I'm done, like, associating with people, because every time I kind of open up to someone, like, it always backfires on me. It always backfires. Yeah, and I just feel like, I don't know, because sometimes I get comments, or I see comments, and I do read all my comments, even if I usually forget to reply to them and stuff, but I get comments where people, like, you know, I get the odd, like, hate comment, and I don't even really want to use the word hate comments, because they're not that bad, but, like, they do get to me. I'm very, like, to be honest, I am very sensitive, and it does get to me, and I know I'm just inviting hate comments now by saying this, but whatever. But at the same time, like, I get a lot more nice comments than bad ones, which is, like, I appreciate. And, you know, sometimes I read, like, the nice comments, and people are saying stuff like, oh, you know, Corey seems like a really nice guy, you know, I'd want to be your friend in real life, you seem like, you know, people are very nice to me, and I massively appreciate those comments. But then I feel like, you know, in person, no one ever says this stuff about me. you know, it's nice having people say this stuff, but at the end of the day, like, I am still alone. I'm not smart enough to be smart, but I'm not dumb enough to be dumb. Like, I'm just smart enough to know that I'm not. Do you know what I mean? And like, I don't know what I mean really, but like, I see, you know, characters online and kind of you know, like funny people that garner attention, and I'm kind of like jealous of the sympathy that they kind of gather around them. And I'm not talking specifically about like lolcows and stuff, because I certainly don't want to be a lolcow. I don't think anyone really does. And I think if someone wanted to be a lolcow, they should be careful what they wish for. But you know, at the same time, like, I feel like people who do stuff for attention are it's a very shunned thing. Like, what's that thing called, stolen valor, where people like pretend to be soldiers and stuff, and they put on like a uniform and, you know, act like they went somewhere, but they actually, you know, didn't. And the thing is that that's a very frowned upon thing in society, you know, and you see all these videos with people getting exposed and shamed for doing this, and like people fake diseases and illnesses and injuries and stuff for, you know, for sympathy. And the thing is, this is, you know, it's a very shunned thing, but I totally understand why someone would do that. I mean, some of these people are probably doing this to promote a scam and like earn money and stuff, and I understand that, obviously. I don't approve of that. But what I mean is people who do this because, like, it's, and especially with men, it's like, how else are you going to get any sympathy? How else are you going to get any attention or anyone to care about you? You know, people call out attention-seeking behavior, but the thing is, like, no one, you know, you're not getting it anywhere else, so what are you meant to do? I remember as a kid, like, sometimes in elementary school there'd be a kid who'd come in with like a broken arm, and they'd be so popular, you know, everyone would gather around and sign this cast that their arm was in, and they'd be really popular, and people would do things for them, like people would help them with doors and stuff and ask if they're okay. And no one ever did any of that for me. I've never broken a bone, and the thing is, like, I never faked an injury or anything like that, or an illness. But like, I could very easily understand why someone would, you know, because you have to understand, like, you're not getting sympathy from anywhere else, you know. And there are really two reasons why someone would gain sympathy or attention, and it's because there's something wrong with them, or they did something very, very good, right? So obviously, like, if something was wrong with them, like an injury or an illness, I already mentioned. But, you know, people can also earn that from achievements and like doing something well. I remember in elementary school, I don't know, I'm talking so much about it's called primary school here, but I just say elementary school because it's, you know, I know a lot of people are like American and stuff, but it's the same thing basically. And I remember once in elementary school, I got given this certificate because at my school they had this thing where every week, at the end of the week, they'd give out certificates to people. I don't know if every school did this. And I think they had something where it's like they had a checklist that every year every single kid had to earn at least one certificate, because otherwise they'd feel left out or something. And I would be very happy not to receive one, because the thing about earning a certificate is it takes place in this big assembly at the end of the week on Friday, and the whole school is gathered in this big like sports hall, and you have to walk up to the front and like stand there in front of everyone and hold your certificate up. So it's like I'm very happy to just be a fly on the wall in person, you know. Like, I want attention, but not like that, you know. But it would be kind of nice to like achieve something really major and go up there and everyone would clap and stuff. But you know, let's face it, I'm never going to do that, right? But one year, and this is quite high up in my elementary school, like this is towards the end of elementary school. I was a little kid, but I wasn't that little, you know. Like, I was old enough to be aware of what was going on around me and like remember this very well. I wish I didn't, because it's an awful story. It's very brutal. Because I was like a little autistic kid. I always had like meltdowns and stuff, and I'd always like cry and stuff, because of course I did, because I hate school. You take a kid with ADHD or autism or something and you sit them in a classroom where you expect them to sit there for 5-6 hours a day talking about the same thing on repeat and doing all this stuff, and being surrounded by other disgusting kids who like eat sloppily and, you know, spit and slather and everything. I had one kid in my elementary school who like pulled his dick out under the table, and like, you surround me with this kind of shit, this sensory overload crap all day every day, and you don't let me move or anything. Of course these kids are gonna, and then they shoot them up with all kinds of drugs, they diagnose them with all kinds of crap. And I don't think like autism and ADHD and, you know, OCD and these kind of things like aren't real, but like, are they overdiagnosed? Like, you know, probably, like, maybe, because these kids, it's not natural, right? Kids should be running around outside. I'm not saying there's not a place for classroom learning, but They shouldn't be in there 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. They should be running around outside. But anyway, obviously it's ironic me saying that because I never leave my room, but still. Yeah, I am getting to the story. So yeah, I always had these kind of like meltdowns and stuff, and I remember one week, I guess I didn't have one the whole week, and I mean, you can see where this story's going, and they called my name, like my full name. They said, Corey, my surname, I'm not going to say it. They said my full name, and called me up to the front of the whole assembly. There must be, several hundred kids in this assembly hall, and all the teachers and everything. This is awful. This is such an embarrassing story. I mean, I know my stories are usually embarrassing, but even by my standards, this is bad. I got called up in front of everyone for not crying for a whole week. And I must have been, let me check, how old was I? So I was like 9 or 10 years old at the time, so it's not like super old, but to be like crying every week. And because I was a special kid, dude, literally. There was probably something wrong with me. I mean, there probably still is, but it was just humiliating, and the whole room burst into laughter, and everyone looked at me. I felt myself going bright red. I was probably about to have a meltdown there and then, to be honest. And then all the teachers were like, shh, be quiet and stuff, and told these kids off. And so it was like, you could tell everyone was looking at each other, and I had to walk up. I was sitting right at the back of the hall, because this was like my second to last year at this elementary school. So all the years would be like sat in rows, so the first years would be at the front, and then the last years would be at the back, and so I was like second to the back. So I had to walk down, like climb over people, because everyone sat on the floor as well, so I had to like climb over people down. Everyone was looking at me. It was excruciating, like 2 minutes probably. And then I got given this award. I had to stand in front of everyone, and I remember, like, as I was walking back, my eyes were firmly planted on the floor, and I was just gripping this certificate, just thinking, and I maintain this to this day, what the hell were the teachers thinking? Like, I get you need a participation award, but you really couldn't find anything else to give me a certificate for, like, really? And I had to be embarrassed, and that's what I was known for the next, like, 2 years that I was at this school. People would come up to me and they'd be like, "Oh, Corey, you're the guy who got a certificate for not crying and stuff." And like, I never got like massive grief over it. Like, some people were kind of joking about it and stuff, and I learned to take it as a joke, because it's like, what other choice do you have? Like, but it's it's ridiculous. It's a terrible thing to happen, And looking back now, I can kind of laugh on this, just like most of the stories I tell. But like, seriously, like, what the hell were they thinking? And like, you're not going to get any sympathy for that as a man crying, Like, who's going to give you sympathy for that? People feel awkward about it, And I'm not blaming people, because, like, if there was some man I knew who started crying, like, I wouldn't have any fucking idea what to do, Granted, like, I wouldn't have any idea what to do if a woman started crying, to be honest. I wouldn't care, let's be honest. But, yeah, and, I don't wish I was smarter, and I don't wish I was dumber, but I just wish I was someone else, Basically, all the time, I'm like daydreaming, and like impersonating other people is a big thing as well. I think this is like an autistic thing, and like, I'm not saying I'm autistic, but I'm just saying, like, I'm noticing, I probably am, honestly, let's be honest, like, I probably am. And I know everyone's going to talk about DBDR. Well, yes, my channel is very derivative, but I like to think I'm just talking about how I feel about things, and the thing about DBDR as well is, like, I haven't watched DBDR in a few months. I stopped watching because everyone was saying I was copying DBDR, and the final nail in the coffin, if you will, was this one comment I got where I mentioned in the video, like, I was thinking about getting a haircut, and someone in the comments mentioned, "Oh, DBDR just talked about getting a haircut, so it's kind of suspicious that you happen to just bring it up now." And I said to them, like, "What is I got a haircut. Like, what's next? I take a shit and wipe my ass. DBDR did that as well. DBDR did that as well." And this guy said, he said, like, "Oh, well, I'm not saying anything, it's just very convenient." And it's like, do me a favor, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to copy DBDR about something, it's not going to be about getting a haircut. But that was like the final thing that just, like, and I figured if I stop watching him, then people can't really accuse me of copying him, even though I'm sure they're going to anyway. But there's so many other examples. Like, I remember, like, there would always be some kid at school that I try and copy, like, and not like something specific that they do, like their style or something like that, but it's just like weird things, like the way they talked and stuff. I would just try to emulate it, especially, popular kids, and not like chads, but like kids who carved out a niche for themselves, like kind of normie kids who had a few friends, and they maybe had like a girlfriend maybe, and I would just try and like emulate their behavior. And I do that as well with like just people, and it's like, I don't really know who I am, to be honest. People say just be yourself. It's like, I don't know who I am. like the way I speak, the style I speak comes from people I interact with, and I guess this is kind of true for everyone, but I'm just like, I'm not confident in anything I do, you know. I'm really not. Like, I don't know, I just, like, I don't know, because people say just be yourself as well, but it's like, it kind of misses the point of why I do what I do, right? It's like, if I'm myself, no one will like me, is how I feel, so I try and act like other people, and obviously it's kind of ironic, because the only place I actually act like myself, or as close to myself as I can, is my YouTube channel, and that's the only place where people seem to like me, so I guess that kind of proves my point wrong, but, you know, because, like, I'm working on my second channel as well, and I'll leave a link in the description to that, I guess, but my point is, you know, this isn't just me talking about things, I have to, like, edit and, you know, write scripts and do research for this channel, because it's like, it's a cope, but it's something I'm pretty, you know, passionate about, I'd say, I guess, as close to caring about something as I can at this point, and it's something I'm getting into. But as I make this video, I need to think, like, you know, I look at other history channels and other YouTube channels where people present information and stuff, and I need to think, like, what style do I want? Because if I just get on the camera and talk like I do in this video, like, no one's going to watch that, and, like, I know, you know, not many people are going to watch it anyway, probably, but I want to make something that is, like, I'm proud of, you know, because I'd say, like, looking back over my life, like, to be honest, like, there's nothing I've ever done that I can look back on and honestly say, like, I'm proud of that. There's nothing I've ever made or ever done that I can say, like, I'm actually proud. Even this channel is, like, I'm very happy to have this channel, but I'm not really proud of it, because it didn't take any work. Like, anyone could do this. Just talk into a microphone. Like, that's all you have to do, and it's, you know, very luck-based. It's very luck-based that I'm the size that I am, and, like, someone else could try way harder. And, you know, you see this on YouTube as well. It's like, the kind of stuff that gets views on YouTube isn't necessarily the highest quality content, you know, and they say that value's subjective, which I guess it is, and, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure, but, you know, I mean, it's no secret some of the most popular content is utter shit, like, we know that, and some of the best content gets, like, hardly any views, and it goes unnoticed, if it ever gets made at all, you know. And I know this is I'm probably, you know, preaching to the choir here, but, like, really, like, it's a shame to think, like, how much stuff goes unmade or unwatched that's very good, and how much crap gets made. And it's not just on YouTube, it's, you know, mainstream television and Hollywood, though those seem to not be very different anymore. Like, if you go on YouTube, signed out, like, you get the videos that YouTube recommends to, like, a new user, and it's all, like, you know, the late night show with some celebrity twat, and some TV show, and some Vivo thing, and carpool karaoke with James Corden, who I hate, and it's just the gentrification of YouTube, I guess, like, is pretty much what it is. And it's not YouTube anymore, you know, it's not YouTube, it's corporate tube. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the first person to say that, and I'm sure I won't be the last, but, like, am I wrong, you know? I don't really know where I'm going. I'm just kind of ranting aimlessly at this point, so I might end the video, but yeah, I mean, I hope I gave you something to think about, maybe. And I don't know, because, like, the thing as well is, like, so today what I did was I went out to the store because I want to do some more cooking, and I'm going to post it to my Instagram instead of putting it in a YouTube video. And I just made an Instagram. I made it today as I'm recording this. I'll probably upload this tomorrow. So, and yeah, I'm going to, like, post some stuff there. So I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go follow me. And it's not gonna be any black pill stuff. It's just gonna be things I make or do and stuff. And I know it's gonna be, like, a smaller thing, but it's gonna be maybe more personal. I don't know. Because the reason I made it is because I want to share these things, because I really enjoyed, like, in my Christmas video, I made that. I don't even remember what I made. Oh yeah, I made that Yule log, and even though, like, it turned out pretty terribly, like, I enjoyed sharing it. It wasn't even the fact that I was making it. And that, in my eyes, proves that if you have someone to go through life with, and it's not necessarily even a girlfriend or a wife, but just a good friend or someone to go through life with and share your experiences with, it makes life, like, 1,000 times more bearable, you know. When I was a kid in, like, this is actually in high school or, like, middle school, I think, but because it's all in the UK, it's all just one thing, so I don't know exactly when it was, but, like, yeah, like, high school kind of age. I got sent on this, like, school residential trip, and it was, like, one of the worst trips I ever went on, like, honestly. And the reason is because I had a small, you know, I don't want to say friend group because I wasn't super close with these people, but there were some people in this group that I was very, very close with. Like, my best friend was in this group, and we were all, you know, decent friends with each other. And there were about 5 of us, I think, we all like put our names down to be in a room together at the, you know, these residential places. They have like rooms with bunk beds. And when we actually showed up, I could make a whole video about this place because this is one of the like it was one of the worst trips I ever went on. I might talk about this. It's not really like black pill related, but it's just kind of funny and how shit it was. It's like something out of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Like, seriously, it's really bad. But when we showed up at this like building, there was this big hallway with doors on either side that led to these like rooms, and we got given like our room number, and we went to it, and we went in there, and there was just one bed there, and we were like, what's going on here? And we turned around, and there was this one of these like custodians, like a teacher from our school who was like chaperoning the trip, was standing there, and he was like, oh, this is my room. And turns out the school, like our school, hadn't booked enough rooms, so we all got split up. So I just went like with some like random people, and most of them were idiots, to be honest with you. And I didn't enjoy that trip at all, and the trip itself was shit. I'm not going to go into the details here. I might talk about it, I don't know, but all the bad stuff that happened to us on that trip would have been bearable because we could have just talked and laughed about it. And I think I even made this point at the time. This is like 2017, I guess. Like, I made this point at the time. Like, if we were together, it would be funny and we could just talk about it and we could like cope with it. But because we got split up, it was much harder to deal with, you know. And like, I bring that up to prove my point that life is so much better if you have someone to go through it with. And like, I had more fun making that cake, even though I failed at it, because I was sharing it with you guys and I was making that video and I knew like you guys would see it. Whereas if I had made the cake, even if I was successful and I made like the best cake ever, like I would have just eaten it and forgot about it, and it would have just been like nothing, you know. And it's like, life is so, like, it sounds obvious, but life is so lonely when you go through it alone, you know. And like, just because you are physically alone doesn't mean you're not going to be lonely. But when you are physically alone, it does mean you're lonely, you know? Yeah, I guess to cut a very long story short, I just made this Instagram page to share things with people who care, maybe, and maybe some people will care, I don't know. But as I'm thinking about like making this Instagram page, like I'm constantly thinking like about curating what I post and stuff and filtering myself because I want to like present a certain image of myself. And then I think like, you know, people will say this like, oh, you should just be yourself and stuff. Like I am on my YouTube channel, you should just be yourself. But the thing is, it's not always acceptable to be yourself. Like I get comments every now and then with people saying, oh, you just moan all the time, you just whine, all you do is complain. And it's like, well, you can complain that I'm complaining, or you can complain that I'm not being myself, but you can't complain about both, you know. Like, back to my point about like people doing things for attention. Like I see people, you know, Gestamaxing is the obvious example, and people don't just Gestamax. And if you don't know what Gestamaxing is when someone acts in a stupid way, or they try and be funny by making themselves look like an idiot, like a court jester, to try and get people to like them. And it doesn't just have to be women, you know. I used to Gestamax so much in school just so people would like me, you know, boys and girls in my class. And I used to just do crazy things because, and I mean, not like crazy like climbing on a roof or something, but I used to basically just act like a retard, which, let's face it, for me isn't very difficult. But I used to do that. Like, I'm sure like if some of the people I went to school with, you know, saw me today, they'd be pretty surprised, and they'd be like, oh, you know, you don't act as like as strange as you used to. And the thing is like, yeah, because that was a complete act, you know. And it's like, it kind of came naturally to me, but I thought that if I acted like myself, no one would like me, you know. And like, here I am at university, and I mean, I was kind of right, I think. And it's not like anyone liked me anyway, but at least people knew I existed, I guess, which maybe is even worse, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, this video's going on now, I'm just ranting about random stuff, so, I mean, that's on my old channel, but I guess I kind of like this type of focus. But anyway, those links will be in the description. I just wanted to say, like I you know, I really do, like, appreciate you guys. Like, I don't have a lot to be, like, grateful for in my life, but, you know, at the end of the day, I have a roof over my head, I have food on my plate, and I have a bed to go to sleep in. And I have, you know, like, if you want to get as basic as, like, I have, like, warm running water, but the thing is, like, a lot of people don't have that. And more than any of that stuff, like, I have you guys, you know. And, like, I do wake up every day, and I am grateful for that. You know, I really am. And I don't want to, you know, I don't know, because people say I just moan and stuff, and maybe if you go to my Instagram and see the stuff I post, like, you'll see, like, maybe it'll, like, flesh me out a little bit, because, like, even though, like, I'm sure you guys like me as well, or some of you anyway, I hope you do anyway, but, like, I guess I'm just kind of, like, just a voice to you guys, you know, and, not that I'm going to be doing, like, a face reveal or anything, but, we'll see anyway, we'll see, who knows, but, I don't know, like, I am like a person, you know, and I do have things that I like and don't like, and, you know, wishes and aspirations and stuff, and yeah, I don't know, maybe some people find it interesting, I don't know, I'm terrified. The thing that really terrifies me, I keep saying I'm going to end the video and I keep finding another thing to say, but whatever, the thing that really terrifies me is that, like, when I die, whether it be, like, tomorrow or 60 years from now, like, either way, like, whenever it happens, like, I'm just going to be forgotten. Like, that's the thing that really scares me, and I'm sure, like, a lot of people feel that way, and I'm sure a lot of people don't care, you know, and I'm sure a lot of people think they don't care, but then when they're on their deathbed, they're going to think, like, hey, like, I'm actually going to be forgotten, and it's just kind of sad to think that in 1,000 years, like, probably no one's going to remember my name, and, like, you know, I know some people would be like, oh, I don't, you know, why would you care, and it's not that I care specifically about being remembered, but it's that the thing I care about is all my experiences will just be gone, you know, and I'm not talking about an afterlife or anything like that, that's not what I mean. What I mean is the moment, because you don't really need to die to be dead, you know, like, you can physically die, but, you know, there's, like, that quote, I don't remember exactly who said this, but someone said, like, you know, most people die, or most men die when they're, like, 28, and we just bury them at 82, I'm sure I'm getting the numbers wrong, but you get my point. And I'm being, like, poetic about it, obviously. They don't literally die, obviously, but my point is, like, I did these things today. I went out to get these you know, ingredients to cook. I'm gonna make, like, muffins, I think. I went out to get these ingredients, and it was kind of like an adventure, kind of, like, saying that out loud sounds so pathetic, but, like, it was a bit of fun, because, like, I went to these shops trying to find chocolate chips to put in the muffins, and, like, none of the shops I went to I could find them, and it was just kind of fun going around town and stuff, and I don't know, like, I kind of talk to myself, like, when I'm at home, like, in my room, like, I talk to myself out loud, or I talk to objects, which I know sounds kind of crazy, but I do have, like that coconut from Castaway, I think is the movie, like, I have stuff like that, like, I talk to things in my room, and I have, like relationships with them, which saying out loud makes me sound crazy, but I don't know. But obviously I don't do that in public, or I don't mean to anyway, maybe I do. I remember at school some kid told me, like, he saw me walking home and, like, I was talking to myself and, like, out loud, and I didn't notice. Maybe I was, I don't know, maybe I am losing my mind, I don't know. But I talk to myself in my head, like, someone's there, like, I have, like, two voices in my head talking to each other. And I'm not saying, like, I hear voices, or, like, and I'm not trying to, like, sound crazy, but, you know, like, it's just a bit of fun, you know. But the thing is, like, my point is, that's going to be forgotten, because if I actually had someone with me, and not necessarily a girlfriend, even though, you know, that would be nice, but just someone, like a friend, or just anyone, is better than nothing, I guess, sometimes, not always, but sometimes, you can kind of go to them and be like, hey, you know, remember that time, like, I know friends do this, they're like, hey, you know, remember that time, you know, we went to the shops and we couldn't find the chocolate chips and stuff, and we were talking about this, and it's just, that's what people do, you know, and that's what old couples should do, I think, like, old couples or old groups of friends, you know, you see, like, old men being like, hey, remember, and they have all these stories, you know, hey, remember that time this happened, and it's very interesting, and it's all forgotten, you know, and that's the thing that scares me, is, like, all of that stuff that feels so good in the moment is just going to be gone. And I know people will say, like, oh, well, you know, just live in the moment, enjoy it, you know, enjoy while it lasts, and, like, that's a good point, but I don't know, like, I like, to be honest, like, I just am very lonely. This is why I want to get into vlogging and stuff, and maybe the Instagram thing will help with that, but the thing is, I don't know, I can only vlog so much without showing my face, which I might just have to bite the bullet on that, but as well as that, like, how many people are going to really be interested in me just, like, doing my washing and stuff? Like, does anyone care? You know, my life isn't that interesting. Like, the things I talk about in my videos are, like, curated to be the most interesting things. Like, most of my life is pretty mundane. And it's like, it's sharing the mundane moments with people in your life that's the special thing, I think, you know. And that's why I think it seems like I'm always moaning, because I only share interesting things, and usually the interesting things that happen to me aren't, like, very good. it's not like a lot of good stuff happens to me. It's not like I leave out loads of information. Like sometimes I talk about good things that happen to me, but I'm not going to be like, oh hey, like most of my day like nothing happened, but this one annoying thing happened. I'm just going to talk about the annoying thing, right? Anyway, yeah, I'm definitely just rambling on now, so I'm going to end the video here. But yeah, I love you guys a lot. I really do. I do read your comments and stuff. I'm sorry I don't reply to them and stuff. Sometimes it's hard for me to reply as well because I just don't know what to say, and I don't want to like let people down. Like I don't want like people to like talk to me and be like, oh, he's gonna have some great response, and I just say something like mediocre, so I just kind of put it off and stuff. But I do love you guys. Yeah, links in the description and everything. Yeah, and thank you for being patient with the second channel as well, everyone who's there, because I know I've been talking for like a year at this point almost about making that, and it's taken really long. But that video will be out this week, this coming week. I do want to keep doing one of those a month, so if you are subscribed there and you're kind of interested maybe in what's going to be made, well, it's coming out, and yeah, I hope you like it. Anyway, yeah, love you guys, bye.